AITA for packing my girlfriend's bags after she planned a night with her ex? I'm Charlie, 36, and until that week, I honestly thought Brooke and I were building something real. We had already picked out which couch would survive the move, argued over closet space like it was funny, and kept a shared vacation fund she'd labeled Future Us. I wasn't some random guy trying to control who she texted. I was the boyfriend signing paperwork, packing boxes, and making plans with someone who was quietly keeping her ex on standby like a backup generator. Brooke and I had been together long enough that our lives had started to overlap in the boring ways that usually mean something is getting serious. We knew which grocery store had the coffee creamer she liked, which drawer I kept spare batteries in, and which corner of the living room collected mail no matter how many times we swore we'd be more organized. Our weekends had become a routine of errands, dinner, laundry, and one show we'd watch while pretending not to fall asleep on the couch. It wasn't flashy, but it felt real. The lease renewal was supposed to be the next logical step. Not marriage, not some dramatic leap, just a bigger commitment than what we had before. We were going to combine more of our things, sign for another year together, and set up automatic payments so we weren't constantly Venmoing each other like roommates who happened to share a bed. There were boxes stacked along the wall for 2 weeks before everything fell apart. One, in Brooke's handwriting, said kitchen with a little smiley face beside it. Another said books in mine because I have no imagination. A third said winter stuff, even though neither of us could agree on whether half of those coats still fit. Brooke had made a fourth box labeled keep in car, which was mostly things she insisted we might need during the move, and I knew we wouldn't touch once. It felt normal. Annoying, but normal. That was why I kept trying to make excuses for the whole Cole situation. Cole was Brooke's ex. They had dated before me, and when Brooke first told me they were on civil terms, I actually respected it. I'd been in relationships where people treated every past partner like a villain because it was easier than admitting two decent people could still be wrong for each other. Brooke was different, or so I thought. I don't do messy endings, she told me early on. We were folding towels at the time, and she said it like it was part of her personal philosophy. Adults can be civil. Back then, that sounded healthy. Cole was polite the 2 times I met him. A little too polished, maybe, but not openly disrespectful. He shook my hand, looked me in the eye, and said, "Good to finally meet you." I didn't feel threatened. I actually remember thinking, great, this doesn't have to be weird. For a long time, it wasn't. He texted her on birthdays. She liked a photo of his dog. He sent some harmless message when his mom had surgery, and Brooke showed me the text because she said she didn't want anything to feel hidden. That mattered to me. Then the harmless things started becoming a routine. His name started showing up late at night. Not every night, but enough that I noticed. Brooke would be half asleep against my shoulder, her phone would buzz, and she'd suddenly be awake enough to read a whole message. Sometimes she'd smile before she remembered I was there. Other times, she'd flip the phone face down like the screen had done something rude. The first time I asked, I kept it simple. Why is Cole sending you voice notes at midnight? Brooke didn't even look up from her screen. Because he's going through something. At midnight. People don't schedule emotional breakdowns for business hours, Charlie. I let that go because, on its own, it sounded reasonable. Maybe he really was struggling. Maybe she was just being a good friend. I have female friends. I've had friends go through breakups, deaths, panic attacks, and ugly family stuff. I know people reach out to whoever feels safe. But it became more than that. Cole's going through something stretched across weeks. There were voice notes, inside jokes, screenshots of old memories, and vague emergencies that somehow always needed Brooke's attention right when we were settling into our own life. If we were cooking, her phone buzzed. If we were watching a movie, her phone buzzed. If we were talking about lease paperwork, her phone buzzed. I never told her she couldn't talk to him. I didn't ask to read her phone. I didn't demand passwords. I just asked for boundaries. One night, standing between stacks of moving boxes with packing tape stuck to my wrist, I said, "I don't need you to hate him. I just need him not to have a standing reservation in our relationship." Brooke stared at me like I had just failed a test she'd been secretly giving me. You either trust me or you don't. That sentence became her favorite escape hatch. If I asked why Cole needed to call 3 times in one evening, she said I didn't trust her. If I asked why she stepped out to take his calls, she said privacy wasn't the same as secrecy. If I said the timing felt strange, She'd say I was projecting my insecurities onto her healthy closure. The trick was, she kept making her behavior sound enlightened and my questions sound small. "I'm not going to act like a jealous teenager just because you're uncomfortable," she said once. I remember standing there with a stack of folded dish towels in my hands, feeling ridiculous for even trying. I hate jealousy. I hate the kind of relationship where one person has to submit a report on every conversation. So I overcorrected. I tried so hard not to be controlling that I started ignoring my own gut feelings just because Brooke had found prettier words for them. Somewhere along the way, trust stopped meaning honesty from both of us and started meaning silence from me. The week of the lease renewal, everything came into sharp focus. We had a signing appointment scheduled for Thursday afternoon. Leah, the rental office coordinator, had emailed us both the renewal packet, the payment setup forms, and a reminder that both signatures were required. Brooke forwarded me the email with 3 question marks and wrote, "Can you print the payment page? My printer hates me." I printed it. I highlighted the lines we needed to initial. I put it all in a folder because that's the kind of person I am when it comes to important paperwork. Brooke teased me for it, but she also seemed relieved. "After this week," she said, standing barefoot in the living room while eating cereal out of a mug because half our bowls were packed, "things will feel settled." That word stuck with me. Settled. Like I was an account she wanted paid, not a person she wanted to choose. 2 days before the signing, Brooke told me she needed to meet with Cole. She said it while we were packing glasses. She wrapped one in newspaper, then another, then took a breath like she had rehearsed the timing. "Cole asked to talk before we sign," she said. I lowered the tape dispenser. "Before we sign? He knows this is a big step for me." "For us," I corrected. She looked annoyed. "For us. Obviously." I waited. She kept wrapping a glass even though there was no more space in the box. "It's just for closure. A mature conversation. He has things he wants to say, and I have things I need to say so I can move forward without any unresolved energy." I stared at her for a second, wondering if she could even hear herself. "The past seems to need a lot of attention right before the future becomes legally and financially real," I said. Brooke gave a short, humorless laugh. "See, that right there. That's why I didn't want to tell you." "You didn't want to tell me you were meeting him?" "I didn't want to deal with this tone." "What tone?" "The one where you act calm, but make it clear you think I'm already guilty." I took a slow breath. "I'm not saying you're guilty. I'm saying the timing is strange. It's one conversation, Charlie. Then why does it feel like a condition?" She set the glass down too hard. Nothing broke, but we both looked at it. "If you can't handle one conversation with my ex," she said, "maybe you shouldn't be signing anything with me." That was the first time I saw the whole picture clearly. She wasn't asking for my trust. She was daring me to prove I was mature enough to accept whatever she decided to call maturity. I looked at the lease folder on the counter. "Then let's not sign anything until we both know what we're choosing." Her expression shifted, but only for a second. Then she smirked, like I'd made some dramatic threat she expected me to walk back. "Don't be manipulative." "I'm not being manipulative. You're threatening the lease because I want closure. I'm saying I won't put my name on a future while you're still checking to see if you're done with your past." She crossed her arms. "Closure isn't cheating." "No," I said, "but pressure isn't trust." That conversation ended with Brooke going into the bedroom and closing the door a little too carefully. Not a slam. Brooke didn't slam doors when she wanted to look like the reasonable one. She closed them like she was keeping score. The next morning, she acted so normal it made me even more uneasy. She kissed my cheek while I was making coffee. She asked if I had confirmed the moving truck. She reminded me to set up the automatic rent payment after we signed, so the first payment wouldn't be late. "Are we still doing that?" I asked. She blinked. "Doing what?" "Signing." "Charlie." "What?" "We had a weird conversation. That doesn't mean you cancel our life." I looked at her over my coffee mug. "You were the one who said maybe I shouldn't sign." I was upset. "Okay. So don't punish me for having feelings." I didn't answer fast enough, and she used the silence. "This is what I mean. You go cold, and then make me chase you for reassurance." I almost apologized. That's the embarrassing part. Even with the boxes all around us, even with Cole's name floating through our apartment like smoke, part of me still wanted to fix the mood. I wanted to prove I wasn't that guy. I wanted to prove I was secure. Then my phone buzzed. It was Kayla. Kayla was Brooke's friend, but we were friendly. We had gone to dinner together, helped each other carry coolers at cookouts, and exchanged memes when Brooke was in the room. I didn't consider her my friend, exactly, but she wasn't a stranger. Her text said, "Hey, I'm not trying to get in the middle, but Brooke is really upset. She's trying to end things cleanly, and you're making her feel trapped." I read it twice. Then another text came in. She said, "You're acting like she needs permission to breathe. I know this is awkward, but one coffee with Cole shouldn't blow up your whole relationship." One coffee. I looked at Brooke. She was pretending to search through a drawer for scissors, but her shoulders were tense. "Did you tell Kayla I was losing it over coffee?" I asked. Brooke turned around. "Why is Kayla texting you?" "That's not an answer." "She's worried about me." "Because you told her what?" "I told her you were struggling with the idea of me getting closure." "One coffee," I said. Brooke's mouth tightened. "That's what it is." "Then why did you tell me you were going to meet him but told her it was coffee? Like I was making a scene over a latte?" "You're doing it again." "Doing what?" "Cross-examining me." That was when I realized I was already losing a trial I didn't even know Brooke had started. I called Grant from the parking lot later that day. I didn't want to talk inside our apartment because it suddenly felt like a place where every word could be twisted into a version of me I wouldn't recognize. Grant is my best friend, and he has a talent for being blunt without making you feel stupid. I told him the basic facts: Cole, the timing, the lease, Kayla's text, and Brooke calling me controlling. He was quiet for a few seconds. Then he said, "Do not compete with a guy who benefits from your life being unstable." "I'm not trying to compete." "You are a little, not by fighting him, but by trying to prove you're less insecure than he is important." That hit harder than I wanted it to. Grant continued, "Don't send angry texts. Don't call Cole. Don't record yourself yelling something she can forward to people. Protect your signature." "My signature?" "The lease. The truck. The payments. Anything with your name on it. If she wants uncertainty, fine. But uncertainty doesn't get your legal commitment as a comfort blanket." I leaned back in the driver's seat and shut my eyes. He said, "Cancel what's yours. Don't touch what isn't. Document everything calmly. You can be angry later." That night, I called my sister, Harper. I expected her to hate Brooke on principle, but she didn't, which somehow made her advice more useful. "Ex-contact isn't automatically bad," Harper said. I could hear her loading the dishwasher. "But she keeps making you prove your love by accepting discomfort that she created. That's what it feels like. Being calm is not the same as being a doormat for disrespect." I didn't say anything. Harper's voice softened. "You're not asking to own her past. You're asking not to finance it." I let out a single laugh because it was too accurate. She said, "Love doesn't mean taking a self-respect quiz every time her ex gets lonely." The next evening, everything shifted from suspicion to certainty. Brooke was in the bedroom. I was in the kitchen sealing the books box, even though I had no idea why I had dragged it in there. I remember the packing tape sticking to my wrist. I had just ripped off a strip with my teeth because the dispenser jammed, and Brooke's phone lit up on the counter. I didn't pick it up. I didn't touch it. The screen was facing up, bright in the dim kitchen, and the notification preview was right there. Cole. Did he believe the closure thing? Or should I keep the room under my name? For a second, I couldn't move. I just stared at the words until they stopped being letters and became facts. Closure thing. Room. Under my name. Brooke walked into the kitchen, saw my face, and moved so fast she almost knocked over a stack of mail. She snatched the phone off the counter and clutched it to her chest. "Were you watching my phone?" I looked at her, my voice calmer than I felt. "I was taping a box." Your lie lit up all by itself. Her eyes flashed with anger. "That is such an invasive thing to say. Why does closure need a room?" She shook her head immediately. "You're twisting it." I read the preview. "You're acting like you saw the whole conversation." I saw enough to ask one question. Why does closure need a room? Brooke walked past me toward the bedroom. "Brooke." She stopped but didn't turn around. "Were you planning to stay overnight with Cole?" "It's not like that." "What is it like?" "You don't understand emotional complexity because you reduce everything to one ugly interpretation." That was probably supposed to make me chase the meaning, but I didn't. I asked again, "Were you planning to stay overnight with Cole?" She turned then. She looked furious, but underneath the fury was panic. "I didn't tell you everything because I knew you would react like this." I nodded once. "So yes." "No, not yes." "Then no?" She just stared at me. "Okay," I said. That one word scared her more than an argument would have. I saw it on her face. She was used to me trying to talk things through, explaining myself, apologizing for my tone, and giving her room to make the conversation about how I asked instead of what she did. This time, I didn't offer her a new angle. I picked up the tape dispenser and put it in the box. "Charlie," she said. I walked to the hallway closet. "What are you doing?" "Looking for something." I moved the winter coats aside. Behind them, under a laundry basket, was the small gray overnight bag Brooke used for quick trips. I'd noticed it wasn't in its normal spot earlier that week, but told myself not to be weird. Now, it was packed so tightly the zipper was strained. Brooke went still. I pulled it out and set it on the floor between us. She whispered, "Why were you looking for that?" I wasn't, until he asked about the room. "That's not yours to go through." I didn't open it. "You're acting insane." I looked down at the bag, then back at her. She said she was meeting her ex for closure and warned me not to make it weird. I said, more to myself than to her. Then I picked up the handle and handed it to her. "Don't worry. I already packed your exit strategy." Her face changed in a way I'll never forget. It wasn't just shock. It was calculation crashing into reality. She didn't cry. Not then. Brooke saved tears for an audience. "You're being cruel," she said. "No," I replied. "I'm being updated." That night, she slept in the bedroom, or pretended to. I stayed on the couch with my laptop open and the lease folder beside me. I didn't sleep much. But I didn't text Cole. I didn't text Kayla. I didn't post anything online. I didn't yell through the bedroom door. I just started checking what I had legal access to. There was a bank alert from our shared vacation fund, Future US. We both contributed to it for trips, deposits, furniture, whatever came next. I opened the account and saw a pending charge for a deposit at a hotel. Not a huge amount, but enough to make me feel sick. She had used Future Us to put a deposit on testing whether there was still a future with him. I checked my email because Brooke had forwarded me the lease documents earlier in the week. Buried in the email thread was another forwarded attachment she must not have noticed, a hotel confirmation she had mixed in with the PDFs. Her name was on it. One night. The date matched her closure meeting. There was also a rideshare receipt in the shared email folder we used for household stuff. Pickup was scheduled from a coffee shop 6 blocks away, not from our apartment. That detail bothered me almost as much as the room. It meant she had planned the stage directions of the lie. She wasn't just confused and swept away. She was arranging pickup points. I took screenshots. I saved the PDFs. I named the files like a boring accountant because Grant's voice was in my head. Protect your signature. Hotel confirmation. Shared fund charge. Rideshare pickup. Cole preview. Kayla's one coffee text. I didn't have the full conversation with Cole, and I didn't try to get it. I didn't need her passcode. The truth was sitting in places my name was already attached to. The next morning, I emailed Leah at the rental office. "Hi Leah, I will not be executing the renewal at our scheduled appointment unless both parties confirm separately in writing. Please do not process any automatic payment under my name. I will still attend to confirm my position if needed. Thank you." She replied within an hour. Understood. Both signatures are required to process the renewal. I can mark the renewal as not executed today if that remains your decision. No drama. No accusations. Just procedure. I forwarded that to my personal email and saved it. Then I canceled the moving truck reservation that was under my name. I lost the cancellation fee because it was too close to the date. It irritated me for about 10 seconds, and then I realized it was cheaper than signing a lease with someone hiding an exit plan behind the winter coats. Grant said the same thing when I called him. "That's not revenge," he told me. "That's just not paying to move into a lie." I also disabled the automatic payments that hadn't started yet and were solely in my name. I didn't touch bills that were already owed. I didn't empty our shared accounts. I withdrew only my own contributions from Future US, minus the portion already used for household expenses, and left a note in the account memo, withdrawing my contribution. Hotel deposit withdrawn by Brooke to be repaid separately. Petty? Maybe. Accurate? Completely. I moved my personal documents to Harper's Place that afternoon. My passport, tax records, a couple of old hard drives, my birth certificate, and the small envelope of family photos from before my parents divorced. I packed them into a box labeled "Keep in Car" and took it literally. Harper opened her door, looked at the box, and said, I hate that I was right. I hate that you were right, too. She hugged me, then immediately took the box and put it in her hallway closet like she'd been expecting it. When I got back, Brooke was sitting on the couch with her phone in both hands. The apartment looked weirdly peaceful. Boxes stacked neatly. Sunlight on the floor. Half our life ready to be moved into a version of us that no longer existed. She didn't look up. "We can talk after we sign," she said. I almost laughed. No. That got her attention. "No. I'm not signing anything while your confusion has a room number." Her jaw tightened. "You're blowing up our whole life over one confusing message. Your story was closure. Your receipt was an overnight stay. I did not cheat on you. I didn't say you did. You're acting like I did. I'm acting like I'm not signing a lease with someone who booked a test drive with her ex." Her face turned red. "That's a disgusting thing to say. So is using our future fund for the deposit." For the first time, she looked genuinely scared. "You went through my bank account. Our shared fund. My name is on it. It was just a hold. I was going to put it back. When..." She stood up. "You're making this into something ugly because you don't trust me. No. You made it ugly when you planned the room. You made it expensive when you used our shared money. It wasn't going to be physical. Then why hide the room?" She had no answer, so she changed the battlefield. "I can't believe you're doing this right before the lease." "That's the point, Brooke. Before." The appointment was still scheduled for the next day. Part of me wanted to skip it and let the email handle everything, but I knew Brooke. If I didn't show up, the story would become that I panicked, disappeared, and abandoned her. I wasn't going to give her that empty space to fill with her own narrative. So I went. The rental office was a small, glass-walled room off the apartment lobby with a desk, 2 chairs, a key tray, and a printer that made tired mechanical noises. Leah was there in a cardigan, her professional smile ready, but her eyes were cautious. She had clearly read my email and wanted no part of whatever was happening. Grant drove me, but stayed outside by the curb. Not to intimidate anyone. He wasn't that kind of guy. He just said, "If you feel yourself getting pulled into a speech, look at me through the window, and I'll make a stupid face or something." I told him, "That might make it worse." "Fine. I'll look disappointed. That usually works." I arrived with a folder containing the moving truck cancellation, my written notice that I would not sign, and Brooke's overnight bag. I hadn't opened it. I hadn't thrown it around. I just carried it by the handle like any other piece of luggage. Brooke arrived 10 minutes later with Kayla. That told me everything I needed to know. Kayla was carrying a small moving box labeled bathroom. Brooke had brought her for emotional backup, probably expecting me to look unstable in front of a witness. Brooke looked put together, the way she did when she wanted a room to take her side before anything even happened. Smooth hair, soft sweater, calm face. Then she saw the bag in my hand. "What is that doing here?" I set it down beside her moving box. "Same thing it was doing in our closet. Waiting for you to use it." Kayla looked between us. "Charlie, come on." I looked at her. "Did she tell you closure needed a room?" Kayla's expression flickered. "What?" Brooke snapped. "This is not the place." I said, "That's the first honest thing you've said today." Leah came out from behind her desk, holding a clipboard like a shield. "Hi," she said carefully. "We can use the conference nook if you need a moment, or I can just mark the renewal as not executed today." Brooke turned to Leah with a tight smile. "We're signing. We just need a second." "No," I said. "I'm not signing." Brooke's smile stayed on her face, but her eyes went cold. "Charlie, stop." I placed the moving truck cancellation confirmation on the counter. Then I placed my written notice beside it. "I am not executing the renewal," I said to Leah. "Please mark it as such." Leah nodded once. "Both signatures are required for us to process the next step." Brooke looked at the woman like she had personally betrayed her. Then Brooke's phone buzzed on the counter. It was loud in that small office, a flat, ugly vibration. We all glanced down before Brooke could grab it. "Cole." His name lit up the screen. Kayla saw it. Leah saw it, though she immediately pretended to be interested in the printer. Brooke rejected the call so fast, she nearly dropped the phone. Kayla said quietly, "Is that him?" Brooke said, "This isn't the time." I said, "That's the first honest thing you've said today." Brooke turned on me. "You're humiliating me." "No. You made a private lie expensive. I'm just making sure I don't have to pay for it." Kayla's voice was different now, less certain. "Brooke, what room?" Brooke shot her a look. Do not do this here. She told me it was one coffee, Kayla said to me, still watching Brooke. I opened my folder and pulled out a single page. I didn't hand it around like evidence in a courtroom. I just put it on the counter, facing Brooke. Hotel confirmation. One night. Her name. The date. The deposit. Then I put down the printed transaction from Future US. Kayla took a slight step back. Brooke stared at the papers like they had appeared by magic. You printed my private information? Our shared fund. The hotel confirmation you accidentally forwarded with the lease documents. The rideshare receipt from our shared household folder. I didn't hack you, Brooke. You just told too many versions of the same lie. Leah said, I'll give you all a moment, and walked into the back office, leaving the door halfway open because she was smart enough not to leave entirely. Brooke lowered her voice. You're acting like I slept with him. I'm acting like you planned to have me sign a lease while you want to find out if you still wanted him. It was for closure. Closure doesn't usually require a room deposit. Her eyes went wet then. Not crying yet, just the prelude. I was confused. You were organized. That landed. I saw it land because she flinched. Kayla said, Brooke, you told me he would have spiraled over coffee. Brooke snapped. Because he would have spiraled if I told him everything. I looked at Kayla. There it is. Brooke turned back to me, furious. You don't get to act innocent. You've been distant for months. I was standing in our living room packing boxes. You were calm. You're always so calm. Do you have any idea how lonely it is to be with someone who never fights for anything? I'm fighting for something right now. She wiped under one eye. You're walking away over something that wasn't even physical. I'm walking away before you make it my problem to prove that it matters. Kayla crossed her arms, but not at me. Were you still planning to have him sign today? Brooke didn't answer her. I asked it myself, because it was the one question I needed to hear answered in that room. Were you still planning to have me sign today? Brooke looked at the papers, then at the overnight bag, then at the key tray on Leah's desk. It's not that simple. It was simple enough when my name was useful. She whispered, You're really doing this. Yes. You're throwing away everything we built. I picked up my folder. No, Brooke. I'm just refusing to underwrite whatever you were doing with him. I turned toward the door. Through the glass, Grant saw my face and straightened up, but I gave a slight shake of my head. I didn't need rescuing. I just needed to leave. Brooke said, her voice rising. You wanted this. You wanted a reason to punish me. I stopped with my hand on the door. No, I said. I just wanted a future that didn't come with a backup reservation. Then I left. Grant didn't ask any questions when I got in the car. He just started driving. After a minute, he said, Do you need me to say something supportive or insulting? I stared out the window. Not yet. Good. I only had insulting ready. That made me laugh, which was ridiculous, because I felt like someone had taken a crowbar to my ribs. But it helped. It reminded me that the world outside of Brooke's version of me still existed. The fallout started before we even got to Harper's place. Brooke texted first. You made me look like a liar in front of Kayla and Leah. I replied. You were a liar long before they saw the paperwork. She wrote. I need you to stop escalating this. I wrote back. Only logistics from here on out. Money, belongings, paperwork. Then I muted her number. Kayla texted 2 hours later. She did not tell me there was a hotel. I waited before responding because part of me wanted to say, obviously. Instead, I wrote, I figured. She replied, I owe you an apology. She told me you were losing it over one coffee. I should have asked more questions before I texted you. I stared at that for a while. It didn't fix anything, but it mattered more than I expected. Thank you, I wrote. I'm not asking you to take sides. I just won't be called controlling for refusing to sign based on those facts. Kayla wrote back. That's fair. By that evening, two people who knew Brooke socially had texted me versions of the same thing. One said, Heard you canceled everything because Brooke wanted closure. That's rough, man. Another said, You don't have to answer, but she's telling people you financially trapped her. I didn't blast her online. I didn't make a post. I didn't start a group chat. I just sent targeted proof to people who directly accused me. To the first guy, I wrote, I'm not arguing about being called controlling. Here is why I didn't sign. I attached the hotel confirmation with personal details redacted, the shared fund charge, and Kayla's one coffee text with her name hidden. He replied, Oh, that is not what she said at all. To the second person, I wrote, I only canceled the moving truck under my name and paused payments not yet owed under my name. I didn't touch her money. The hotel deposit came from our shared fund. Then I sent the transaction screenshot. No speech. No insults. Just enough evidence to stop her edited story from becoming the official one. Brooke hated that more than yelling would have bothered her. "You're sending people screenshots now?" She texted from a different thread after I muted the first. I answered, "Only to people you send to call me controlling. You're humiliating me." Your version of the story required me to be the villain. I declined the role. Then I stopped responding. Cole messaged me the next day. I almost deleted it without reading, but curiosity won. "Charlie, I don't want to cause any problems. Brooke made it sound like things between you two were already complicated. I didn't know the whole situation. I read that 3 times. Then he sent another message. She deserves to know what she wants before she signs anything. That one made me laugh without any humor. So polite. So entitled. I replied once. You knew enough to text her. Don't sign anything until you know if you still feel us. Don't pretend you thought you were just discussing the weather. The 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. He wrote, "She showed you that?" No, I wrote back. Your preview lit up while I was packing our apartment. He didn't answer for almost an hour. Then, I was told you two were basically over. I wrote, then you can discuss that with her. He tried one more time. I'm not your enemy. I didn't respond. He wanted to be the meaningful past, not the emergency contact for the consequences. I had no interest in giving him a clean role in a messy situation. Later, Kayla told me Cole had backed away from Brooke within 48 hours. Not dramatically, of course. Men like Cole rarely slam a door. They close it softly while claiming they never meant to enter the room in the first place. Apparently, he told Brooke he didn't feel comfortable being involved while she was sorting out logistics. That was the phrase Kayla used. Sorting out logistics. As if Brooke hadn't just stood in a rental office with an overnight bag between her old life and the one she wanted me to sign for. Brooke called me from an unknown number that Sunday. I answered because I was still untangling bills and thought it might be important. Her voice was thick. Can you please not hang up? Charlie. Is it? I just need you to hear me out. I sat on Harper's couch. My box of documents was on the floor beside me. Harper was in the kitchen making tea loudly because she didn't trust herself to stay out of it. You have 30 seconds, I said. Brooke exhaled shakily. I was confused. I was scared. The lease made everything feel so final, and Cole represented this part of my life I never fully processed. I wasn't trying to hurt you. You were trying to keep me on the hook while you checked out another option. That's a cruel way to put it. It's the most accurate way to put it. I didn't sleep with him. You still expected me to sign the lease. She started crying then. You're so focused on that piece of paper. Because that paper was the whole point. No, us was the point. If we were the point, you wouldn't have used our future fund for his hotel room. It was a mistake. The deposit was a choice. The pickup location was a choice. Telling Kayla it was just coffee was a choice. Bringing her to the lease appointment to make me look unstable was another one. She let out a sob, but it sounded more angry than sad. You're acting like one bad decision defines who I am. No, I'm just saying I won't sign my name under it. Her voice changed. Softer. Smaller. Can we meet? Just once. No papers. No screenshots. Just us. Harper appeared in the doorway with a mug in each hand. She didn't say a word. She didn't have to. No, I said. Brooke went silent. I continued. Only logistics from here on. You loved me. I did. So how can you be this cold? I heard everything I needed to when you still expected me to sign. I ended the call and felt like garbage for about 15 minutes. Not because I thought I was wrong, but because loving someone doesn't just switch off when they disqualify themselves from your future. It just has nowhere good to go. The next few weeks were just boring, the way real breakups are after the drama fades. Emails, receipts, pickup windows. Who owns the blender? Which streaming service was on whose card? The ugly little administrative tasks of cutting a life apart. I sent Brooke a formal request for repayment of the shared fund withdrawal. Please return the amount withdrawn from the shared fund for the hotel deposit by the agreed-upon date. Details for picking up your remaining belongings are below. She replied with a long email about how transactional I'd become. I answered, please confirm the repayment date and pickup window. She sent half the amount that Friday, and the rest 2 weeks later. In the memo line of the second payment, she wrote, "Since money matters more than people." I didn't respond. The money mattered because it was the clearest proof that she had moved the lie from feelings into financial obligations, letting her frame that as me being greedy would have been one more small theft. The belongings exchange happened on a Saturday morning. Harper came with me because she said she wanted to make sure I didn't accidentally agree to an emotional ambush while holding a toaster. Brooke wasn't there when we arrived. Kayla was. That surprised me. Kayla stood outside with 2 boxes and a tote bag. She looked uncomfortable, but not hostile. "She asked me to do it," Kayla said. "I told her I would, but I wasn't going to pass along any messages." "I appreciate that." She nodded toward the boxes. "Kitchen stuff? A few of your books. Your blue hoodie was mixed in with her laundry." "Thanks." Kayla looked at the ground. "She's telling people you planned this whole public thing to embarrass her." "I brought paperwork to a paperwork appointment." "I know. She brought you." Kayla looked up then. "I know that too." That was the closest she came to saying she understood, and it was enough. As Harper and I loaded the boxes, Kayla said, "For what it's worth, I don't think she ever realized you would actually leave." Harper muttered, "That's usually the problem." I pretended not to hear it, but Kayla did. She almost smiled. Brooke's version of the story changed several times after that. First, I was controlling. Then I was financially abusive for canceling the truck and refusing to sign. Then I was cold for handling everything in writing. Then I was cruel for refusing one last private conversation. The story kept adjusting to whatever evidence had already contradicted it. But the circle of people willing to repeat it got smaller. Kayla stopped acting as her messenger. Cole disappeared once he realized Brooke hadn't been choosing him cleanly. Either, she'd been testing him while keeping me financially attached. Grant stayed Grant, which meant he checked on me by sending stupid photos of broken furniture on Marketplace with the caption, "New couch for your villain lair?" Harper helped me find a smaller place and insisted on labeling one box not winter stuff because she said I needed better systems. The day I signed my new lease alone, I expected to feel some huge sense of triumph. I didn't. I just felt tired and slightly embarrassed by how much paperwork a person can survive while heartbroken. But when I wrote my name on the line, I knew exactly what I was signing up for. That mattered. The new place was smaller and quieter. The first night, Harper helped me unpack plates while Grant assembled a cheap shelf badly and refused to admit it was leaning. We ate takeout on the floor because I hadn't bought a table yet. Harper lifted a carton of noodles. "To not signing stupid papers," Grant added. "To cancellation fees being cheaper than regret." "Both of those are terrible toasts," I said. But I smiled. Brooke emailed me one more time about a month later. The subject line was, "Please read." Against my better judgment, I did. She wrote that she had been in a bad emotional place, that I had made her feel like any uncertainty was a betrayal, and that she needed compassion, not punishment. She said Cole had confused her by reaching out during a vulnerable time. She said I had reduced years of love to a single hotel receipt. I sat with that for a while, not because it persuaded me, but because part of it hurt. There had been real years, real mornings, real laughter, and real plans. The lie didn't erase every good thing that came before it. That's what made it so painful. But then I reread the part where she said I had reduced our love to a hotel receipt. I wrote back, "Brooke, I didn't reduce our relationship to a hotel receipt. I refused to let that receipt expand into a new lease, a moving truck, automatic payments, and another year of pretending my discomfort was the problem. I am not available for a private conversation. Any future contact should be about remaining logistics only." I sent it before I could soften it. She replied 2 minutes later, "You sound like a lawyer." I almost typed back, "You sound like someone who ran out of angles." I didn't. There was one more loose end with the old lease, and Leah handled it with the same neutral professionalism she'd shown that day. She emailed both of us separately, confirming the renewal had not been executed and that no automatic payments under my name had been processed. "Thank you," I wrote. She replied, "You're welcome. Wishing you the best." That was the closest the rental office ever came to taking a side, and honestly, it felt appropriate. The whole point was that the lease didn't become another battlefield. It just stayed paperwork. I kept it that way on purpose. Months passed. I stopped checking if Brooke and Cole were together. From what little I heard, they weren't. That didn't exactly make me happy. I thought it would. I imagined there would be some satisfaction in knowing their grand romantic uncertainty had collapsed under the weight of normal consequences. But the truth was quieter than that. Cole backing away didn't give me back what I'd lost. It just proved what I already suspected. He wanted the thrill of being chosen, not the responsibility for what his invitation had cost. Brooke had wanted to be wanted from two directions. When both directions started requiring accountability, she suddenly found herself standing still. Kayla sent me one final text about 6 months after it all happened. I know this is random, but I wanted to say again that I'm sorry. I shouldn't have texted you based on her version of things. Hope you're doing okay. I wrote, I appreciate that. I'm doing okay. And I was mostly. Not every day. Some mornings I still made too much coffee because my body remembered the old amount before my brain caught up. Sometimes I'd find a restaurant receipt in an old jacket and get hit with a memory I didn't ask for. Sometimes I missed the person I thought Brooke was so sharply that I had to remind myself that missing someone isn't the same as wanting them back. But my life got less tense. Nobody's phone lit up at midnight while I pretended not to notice. Nobody turned my questions into proof that I was being small-minded. Nobody asked me to keep signing, paying, packing, and planning while they auditioned a different ending. The future U.S. fund was closed. I opened a new savings account with a boring label, moving and emergency. No joke name. No couple's nickname. Just money for a life I could actually see. Brooke tried one more time near the end of the year. It was a short message from a new number. I hope someday you can understand that I was confused, not evil. I looked at it for a long time. Then I wrote, I never needed you to be evil for me to leave. I just needed you to be dishonest about something that affected my future. I blocked the number after that. The last item I unpacked was a coffee mug Brooke had bought me from a roadside gift shop on a weekend trip. It was ugly, bright green, with a cartoon bear holding a fishing pole. I almost threw it away 3 times. In the end, I put it in the back of the cabinet. Not because I wanted her back, and not because I was keeping a shrine. Just because not every object from a failed relationship has to be dramatic. Some things are allowed to become ordinary again, once you stop giving them a role to play. That's what I wanted most after Brooke, ordinary. A lease with my name on it because I chose it. A phone that could buzz without my stomach dropping. A box labeled kitchen that only held kitchen things. A future that didn't require me to ignore the exits someone else was secretly packing. I know some people heard the story and thought I was harsh. They heard that Brooke didn't physically cheat, at least not before I walked away, and decided I should have waited for proof of something worse. But that misses the part that really mattered. I didn't leave because she had a conversation with an ex. I left because she planned an overnight stay, hid the room, used our shared money, told her friend I was being controlling, kept the lease renewal moving forward, and still expected my signature at the end of it all. I wasn't competing with Cole. I was competing with the version of myself Brooke preferred. Calm enough to tolerate disrespect, stable enough to finance uncertainty, and too afraid of looking insecure to protect himself. That version of me lost. Good. She wanted me to prove I wasn't insecure. So I proved I was secure enough to leave. If you like the stories, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.